Boeing 757's Overwing escape system is designed to give passengers a means of getting to the ground from the wing. In 1998, minor changes to the Overwing escape system mechanism were incorporated into all 757s produced after that date. The changes included a bumper assembly that ensures the slide carrier is fully stowed when the compartment door is closed and locked. A witness mark placard was added to align the yellow crank handle when it is in the fully down and locked position. At the same time, the compartment door sensor proximity switch and target were relocated to the forward end of the compartment door. Since these changes were made, several 757 operators have reported in-flight losses of the escape slide. Investigation of these incidents determined that prior to loss of the slides, the operators had accessed the compartment to perform maintenance. Further investigation and tests showed that the slide compartment door may not have been closed properly after the maintenance operations were concluded. It was learned that many operators use only one person to close and lock the slide compartment door. After reviewing this procedure, Boeing determined that it is extremely difficult for one person to push the door firmly into position with one hand while operating the yellow crank handle with the other hand. If both sides of the door are not pushed in all the way, there is the risk that one of the latch tube studs will not engage. This can allow the door to open during flight. Boeing has determined that to close the slide carrier and slide compartment door properly, 2 people should be used instead of just one. One person will control the operation of the yellow crank handle. The second person will control closing the slide carrier and the slide compartment door. To properly close the slide compartment door, the first person lifts the round yellow crank handle to move the latch tube to its fully aft or unlatched position. While the first person is holding the yellow crank handle in the fully up position, the second person can push the slide carrier into its stowed position, stow the slide compartment door strut, and close the door. The second person should then push the slide compartment door inward until the lower forward and aft sides of the door are flush with the fuselage. While the second person holds the lower corners of the compartment door firmly in position, the first person raises the release trigger to release the yellow crank handle. While continuing to hold up the release trigger, he then pushes the yellow crank handle down to engage the latch studs on the tube with the latch fittings on the door. The yellow crank handle must be pushed down to its lowest position to make sure the door and carrier are fully locked. Warning: make sure the yellow crank handle aligns with the witness mark placard. If the yellow crank handle is not aligned with the witness mark placard, the latch studs may not be fully engaged with the latch fittings on the door, and the slide carrier will not be locked. Finally, the second person makes sure the exterior side of the slide compartment door is flush with the fuselage at the lower forward and aft edges. When moving the yellow crank handle to latch the compartment door closed, it is very important to first lift up on the handle before lifting the release trigger. If the yellow handle is not lifted, it may be difficult to release the trigger, and the trigger must be released and held in the release position in order to fully lower the yellow crank handle. This illustrates why it is so critical that the slide compartment door be pushed firmly into place while latching the door. Both the forward and aft latch studs on the latch tube must properly engage the door latch fittings. It is possible for the latch studs to be partially engaged with the door latch fittings and the slide carrier still unlocked if the yellow crank handle is only partially lowered and is not aligned with the witness mark placard. In this condition, the door edges are flush with the surrounding fuselage, and no ICAS message will be displayed in the flight deck. Airplane movements can cause the latch tube to move slightly aft to disengage the stud from the door latch fitting, allowing the door to open in flight. The yellow crank handle also operates the slide carrier lock pin. This is another reason why it's so important to lift the release trigger when lowering the yellow crank handle to align with the witness mark placard. If the door is not flush with the fuselage and the yellow crank handle is not aligned with the witness mark placard, the lock pin will not seat properly in the carrier. When the slide compartment door is closed properly, the door sensor and its target on the door will align, and the compartment door warning on the ICAST display in the flight deck will disappear. Boeing believes this new recommended procedure of utilizing 2 people for closing and locking the 757 Overwing slide compartment door will help ensure that both the slide carrier and slide compartment door are closed and latched properly. If you have any questions regarding this new recommended procedure or the 757 Overwing escape system, please contact Boeing Customer Fleet Support.